Hey, you do it.
Hi, my name is Sherry Ludwig, and I'm the owner-operator of Bisou Lingerie in downtown Kenosha.
All right, how are you associated with your business?
I'm the owner of my business.
Okay. How long have you owned Bisou Lingerie?
I have owned Bisou Lingerie for 5.5 years. Prior to that, we were Bisou Lingerie over on 6th Avenue. We were part of the original consignment shop that we opened in 2009. We changed our name when we brought it solo 5 years ago, and we've been here ever since on 58th Street.
All
That
right.
would be in 2017?
Yes, 2017.
Just
Yeah, should I say it like that? 2017.
well, we don't know when this is coming out.
Okay,
So that's-
gotcha.
Yeah,
could be 7 years.
Yeah,
Got it.
God, I hope not.
yeah.
So you've always been downtown.
Always been downtown. Yes.
All right, can you briefly describe your life, personal and business, before 2020?
Well, as I mentioned, I opened a consignment shop back in 2009. It was called Coco's Attic. Eventually morphed into 6th Avenue Consignment Boutique. The reason I opened a consignment shop was I spent 20 years in corporate America as a regional sales manager for an electronics corporation. And when I was 50 years old, they put me out to pasture. And so I decided to open my own business. I didn't have the funds or the wherewithal to actually open a retail space, so I decided to open a resale shop. As a corporate executive, I used to come downtown. I lived in the area, and I would be looking for a pair of shoes or a pair of earrings, and noted that there were no women's shops downtown. And I could not understand this trend because there were a couple of men's stores down here. I decided to open a high-end resale shop, and we did very well for about 6 years. When the economy tanked back in the late 2000s. From there, the resale business kind of took a downturn, and we decided to try to find another complementary product because we were doing very well at the time. So we decided on lingerie based upon the trips that we had taken to Europe and the fit that I found in Europe, and I wanted to bring this to the ladies of Kenosha. And that's how we opened it. So we started in the back of our resale shop. We had one small little table in the back. We had 4 or 5 styles on it. Women would come in and they would be like, "Are those used?" We'd be like, "No, they're actually new. There's a size range here." And nobody even attempted to try them on or anything. They thought we were crazy. They would, go buy their resale shoes. About 3 months later, we had a couple of brave women come in and decide to try the bras on. Well, they loved the fit so much, they purchased them, told their friends about it, brought their friends in. Pretty soon, we were spending all the money that we had made on those sales in more inventory. So we grew from one small table in the back to enough inventory to actually move the business on its own, and it took about 2.5 years to get to that point. So that's how Bisou Lingerie was born.
You can still ask her, so let's see.
So what
Personal?
made you want
What-
made you want, or you can go into personal
I
if you
mean-
want. I mean, it's up to you.
What do you want to know about my personal
You
life?
joined life before everything happened.
I mean, before the riots
Before
happened.
2020.
Oh,
before
Pandemic.
2020.
before 2020.
You're probably
Yeah.
better right here, I
So
guess.
we moved our business here, and we started, and we were growing, and just kind of hitting our stride in 2019. Sales were, really starting to increase well. We were establishing our brand. People were coming. That's why it was such a shock when we had to shut down for COVID. My husband and I love to travel, and we happened to be in Sicily in February of 2020. And as we were coming home, we came through Rome, and we came out of customs, and all of a sudden there was a medical tent set up with these people in red, and they were taking everybody's temperature, and we were like, what the heck is going on? They were pulling people out of line that had fevers, and then we noticed everybody in the airport had masks on, and we were like, this must be the pandemic they're actually talking about. So we came home and I gathered my team together and I said, we have to prepare to close. And they were like, oh no, it's not coming here. One of my employees works for the fire department. And she said, the fire chief said, there's no way it's coming to Kenosha. And I was like, it's coming and we need to prepare. So let's, prepare for shutdown. So that was quite the shock. Yeah.
So then how did your business adapt to when everything shut down?
Well, fortunately, like I said, I had a little forewarning. So we zhuzhed up our website and made sure that we had shopping cart capabilities, so people could purchase their products online. We also did curbside service, and we also shipped product to people if they just wanted to call and say, hey, I need a bra in my size. We put it in a package and off it would go. We staffed so that we had one person in the store at a time, one employee, and then we went to the appointment-only version of sales. So we had one customer and one employee in the store at a time, and that was it. And that's how we got through most of the pandemic, actually, because we kept that up for a very long time because people felt safe. They could actually come in and use the dressing rooms. A lot of the big box stores had closed down the dressing rooms, and so it actually might have helped us in some ways because people came in they had to purchase a bra, and they were like, I can use your dressing room. So I think that the way we pivoted at that point, I think really might have helped our sales.
Did you shut down at all? Or were you always doing it?
Not really. We were ready. So we immediately pivoted into the curbside service, and we also did the online sales.
All right, so you're probably less busy. Did you pick up any new hobbies during the lockdown?
Oy vey. Actually, I did a lot of cooking during that time. My husband's Italian, and he loves to make pizza, and so because we were hunkered down, we did a lot of cooking, as well as rehabbed our 110-year-old house that we bought on 7th Avenue. So it was just a good excuse to have to stay home and work on the house because there was nowhere to go. So, we both put on a few pounds, and, still working on getting them off. Don't put that in there.
Too late, see that little red dot?
Oh, my God.
All right, so by mid-May, businesses were allowed to totally reopen. Did this affect your business at all, or you just continued going?
We just continued what we had established. It worked out really well. Our appointments started picking up at that point in time, and we made sure everybody masked and social distanced as best we could. Our sale is pretty intimate, so we kind of had to get close to people, but we were very, very strict about people keeping their mask on. And so we had a lot of people cancel appointments, and that was fine. I mean, we just remained as flexible as we possibly could. We took appointments at night, whatever it took to get some sales. But sales were pretty anemic during that time. Yeah.
All right, on May 25th, 2020, George Floyd was killed in police custody in Minnesota. This sparked nationwide protest, including many here in Kenosha. Did you participate or have any interaction with any of these early protesters or protests?
I did not participate. However, people coming into the store, everybody was talking about it, and they wanted to engage. Everybody had an opinion. As a business owner, I didn't want to offend because we lived in such a we still live in such a divided country and divisive. I really put a kibosh on the comments. I think women are coming here for a nice, safe haven, to shop in a really, beautiful environment, and bringing commentary and politics into this arena was just not for me. So my employees were instructed that if anybody wanted to talk politics, that they were instructed to say that the owner does not allow it. I know it sounds so dictatorial, but Seriously, I tried to keep it at a minimum because everybody wanted to talk about it, and then especially after the riots, and especially after we got smash and grabbed. Everybody had an opinion at that time, and I just felt like it was inappropriate. So I put a kibosh on it.
Like that. All right, so on Wednesday, August 12, 2020, a fire broke up in Uptown on the building of 63rd and 22nd Avenue. Do you have any experience or interaction with that event?
I do not.
All right, so then on Sunday, August 23rd, around 5 p.m., Jacob Blake was shot by Kenosha police officers. When did you first hear about the incident?
I heard about it in the store, actually. I was working that day, and somebody came in and said, "Did you hear what happened?" And, after George Floyd, I think it was just a punctuation on the times that we live in. It's been the most interesting time in my lifetime. The history was made the last few years, and I think people were shaken, and I think people were paying attention for the first time. But like everything else, I think we've probably all just gone back to our lives and carried on like nothing has happened.
What were your initial reactions to seeing the
Oh,
video?
my reaction was not again. Here we go again. How many times does this have to happen? I hope the press gives it better coverage than they had in the past. I think, I'm going to get political on me here.
I guess, did you think that there'd be trouble in Kenosha?
I had a feeling there would be trouble, but I had no idea what we were in for. It was quite a surprise.
All right, then, throughout the night of Sunday, August 23rd, and into the next morning, many downtown businesses were damaged by rioters, including the Car Source, Manja Restaurants, including yours. How did you first find out what was going on in downtown Kenosha?
Well, we live on 7th Avenue.
Sorry, back up a little bit. You said you were working that day when it happened. So when did you leave the shop here?
Left the shop about 5 o'clock and went home. Since I live on 7th Avenue, we're well aware of all of the threats and I told my husband we're probably going to be under curfew, and so we were on guard, but again, just did not even consider that our business might be a target. So about 12:30 Monday morning, 12:30 a.m., John Fox, our old alderman, called me. My cell phone rang and woke me out of a deep sleep, and I answered it, and he said, "Sherry, are you awake?" And I was like, "No." And he said, "Well, I just want to let you know that I'm down at your store and I'm sweeping up glass." He said, "You've been hit, and I just want to prepare you that it's a mess." So my husband and I got in their truck and tried to weave our way down here. There were cops everywhere and people running around, and it took us probably, 15-20 minutes to make it to 6th Avenue here because of the mayhem that was going on. And when we got here, it was quite the shock. Our window had been totally smashed. Everything was topsy-turvy. All the mannequins were thrown on the floor. They had stolen the cash register. All the computers were missing. And literally there was not a spot in the front that had a piece of product on it. They smashed and grabbed everything in the front of the store. There was nothing, and also took stuff in the back of the store. Went in the basement. So we tried to clean up as best we could, but honestly, I was really walking around in a state of shock. And this downtown was like a war zone. There was smoke everywhere. There was cars blowing up. We stayed down here until 8 o'clock the following morning until we got boarded up. We just wanted to protect our store. Our landlord was down here next door, the Ferraros next door, and John Fox stayed with us. And we saw black SUVs coming down here, dumping people off. people would walk by our store and make comments like, oh, you're a Trump supporter, this is what you get for being a Trump supporter, happy now, or saying, you know, not knowing anything about us. If you knew us, you would know that statement wasn't true. Here I go getting political, sorry. Cut this part out. Just the pure hatred of the people that were down here. It was horrifying. It was horrifying because if you know anything about me and my business, we are very inclusive here. You know, anybody can shop here. Doesn't matter what race, what age you are, what gender you are, what your political views are, what your sexuality is. This is a nice safe haven. And so I felt personally targeted, and it took me a minute to get over that. I do realize today that it had nothing to do with me, but there was some consolation in the fact that these were not local people. These were people from other places. We saw SUVs from Detroit, from Chicago. These people that were down here, I did not even recognize them. I mean, it was, there was a scuffle that went on right in the little intersection here. They were surrounded, there was a lady cop who was surrounded by a bunch of protesters. It was pretty scary. It was a pretty scary time. So we stayed down here and just talked to people and protected our property and tried to clean up until we got boarded up that following morning.
So then when you're
So that night that you were here,
Yeah.
were any of your neighbors here also hit?
Yes, next door.
Okay.
Fortunately, Dawn's was spared, and I don't know why. I think what happened was they came down 58th Street first, and so we just happened to be the first wave. And so they had some damage next door, but nothing like what we had here. We really got it bad. Looking at the videos, which I'll supply to you guys later, there were about 25 people in this store. It took them 2 minutes to smash through the front window, open the door. 25 people came in, black, white, male, female, old, young. It didn't matter. And these were professionals. They knew what they were doing. And when I show you the video, you will see. I mean, like going around the rounds and just swooping up product and throwing it in the bag. There was lingerie scattered all over downtown for days. People would knock on the door and go, I think this is your garter belt. This belongs to you. Yeah, it was one of the most confounding experiences of my life. And I'm not a young woman, you know, been through a lot. This was something.
So when you were driving here, hearing
Mm-hmm.
that your store was getting broken into,
Mhm.
what were your feelings and your thoughts just driving here with your
I was
husband?
just numb. Honestly, I had no idea what we were walking into. Because by then fires had started, and I mean, it literally, if you didn't know it was downtown Kenosha, I literally thought I was somewhere else. I felt like I was in a war zone.
Was it worse than you expected when you got
Much
here?
worse than I expected. I don't know what I expected, honestly. But yeah, it was, I felt violated, is a good way of saying it.
So then the next day there was a lot of cleanup going downtown. How long did you stay here cleaning up?
We stayed here just long enough to put, because we were afraid we were going to hit a second time. So we put all of the remaining inventory in bins and put it in the basement. We made sure that our windows were boarded up. And during that time, we got a threatening email and a threatening phone call while we were here cleaning up, which really scared the crap out of us. Kind of scared. It was really disconcerting. Again, they would call, and this one person said, so you support Black Lives Matter? Well, now, how do you feel now, you white bitch? And yeah, I mean, just like, how did they get our phone number? How do they know, how did they know? And then we got threatening email as well. So we cleaned up, put everything away, and my husband and I went to Lake Geneva. We went to an Airbnb because literally it hadn't really even hit me yet. I hadn't grieved or anything for it yet, and all I wanted to do was just close up and never come back here again. I literally wanted to close my doors, honestly. I needed some time to get away, to put things in perspective. So we went and we rented an Airbnb and we stayed away for about 4 or 5 days. Got my head on straight, came back, rolled up my sleeves, and got to work.
So that week then, did you have any contact with any elected officials?
No, we left.
You just were gone, nobody tried contacting you?
How long were you gone in Lake Geneva?
5 days.
Okay.
Yeah. I just needed some time.
And get your thoughts back together.
Yeah, had to get my thoughts back to. I didn't know what I was going to do. I literally, like I said, thought I was done.
So did any mainstream news media outlets try to get a hold of you while you were gone?
Not mainstream, but we had a couple of bloggers come in here about 2 a.m. and I don't know, somebody from Colorado called and said they saw me on this live feed. I don't know. Everybody was trying to talk to me, but I, yeah, no.
You were gone. You're in Lake
I was
Geneva.
gone. I was gone because what I saw then, and please, you probably have to cut this part out, but this is between all of us. What I saw in this town was scarier than what happened to me. I mean,
I agree.
it was appalling. And then I was like, well, I really don't belong here. So, anyway,
Get out, yeah.
yeah, please cut that out.
Cut.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, wow. I got PTSD just thinking about this.
You need a minute? You need a
I'm
minute?
sorry.
I was really disappointed in our city. I mean, although the people in the town came out and they were wonderful,
Yeah.
the business owners surprised the hell out of me, honestly. I did not expect what happened to happen. It was disappointing.
You say the business owners didn't expect what was going to happen. What can you elaborate on that?
Tell Donny.
Yeah.
I was shocked at how many of them were following our president around and pretending that things were okay when they really weren't. And I don't know. I can't go into it. It just makes me sound way too political.
I thought you were going a different way. I thought you were talking
No.
about helping and reaching out to you, but
No, I mean, did we band together in the end? Yes. I think it was just initially I stayed to myself over here, so I didn't realize how divided politically the people who own businesses are in this town, and like I had business owners pretending like I was their best friend when I had never met them in my life. They were crying and on their blog and going, "Oh, my best friend Jerry's stuck on it," that kind of thing. And I'm like, I don't even know you. What are you talking about? And just the, we were promised things by the president that never got delivered here. But please don't put that in there.
No, we won't.
Please.
All right. So
Yeah, anything political, take it out,
yeah,
because
we're not going into that stuff.
Yeah, we
I can't
We're not
talk
going
about.
for a political angle.
Yeah,
Not
good,
at all.
because I can't talk about this stuff without bringing that into it, because literally, I didn't know where I was.
Right? Yeah, we're not going for any political.
Yeah,
This
good.
is your story.
Good.
All right.
We were
so
promised things that were not delivered, which was really disappointing as well.
$4 million.
Yeah, only $4 million.
All right, so on the night of Tuesday, August 25th, the protesting continued, and Kyle Rittenhouse was involved in a shooting which left 2 men dead.
Mhm.
When did you first hear about the Rittenhouse incident?
I think it's when we got back in town. Yeah, no, I think we heard about it on the news while we were hiding out in Lake Geneva.
So you weren't watching any social media or anything, or any of the
I
live
tried not
streams?
to.
She was trying to get away.
Yeah,
Okay.
I tried not to. I really, really wanted to get my head on straight.
All right.
Hmm.
What was your initial feelings when you saw and heard about the Rittenhouse incident?
Well, again, will this ever end? And why are we so divided in this town? And why was Rittenhouse supported by local authorities, and why ultimately did he get off with a slap on the wrist?
Yeah.
All right, were you concerned after this incident that the unrest would escalate further, or did you think it would just quiet it down?
No, I thought it was going to escalate further. We were, under curfew for days. Living down here was just as scary as having a business down here. 7th Ave, I live up by TG's, so that was right in, we saw all the processions of cars come down here.
National
And
Guard.
yeah, all the blacked out windows, and we saw the whole thing. 7th Avenue is a pretty common thoroughfare, so we saw a lot.
All right, so Kenosha was in the news a lot that week.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel the national media covered the events?
I think they did the best they could under the circumstances.
Or how do you think they represented Kenosha?
I think they represented us as a very divided town, which we are. So I think they did the best they could under the circumstances. The relationship that the citizens have with the police has never been stellar, and it continued throughout that entire period. Punctuated. Yeah.
All right, so both President Trump and Joe Biden visit Kenosha to survey all the aftermath. Did this visit affect your life in any way?
Nope.
Did you go see either of them?
Nope.
All right, so when President Trump visited the city, he promised $4 million, which would go to the city of Kenosha to assist rebuilding. Did your business receive any of this money?
No, however, I must say that the city did come through with funds for business owners. The city and the state both came through with funds, and had we not had access to those funds, we probably would have closed. So, yeah, it was helpful. But federally, the PPP is about it.
All right, what are your opinions on the independent journalists and the live streamers who were in Kenosha?
Looking for a story, like any other news outlet in today's world, there's not enough time to get the full story. It's how quickly you can get your story out there without following up on the facts. It's really unfortunate that we don't have the type of journalists, and again, I'm old, so I remember the old days where we all heard the same news at the same time in the same way, and I really believe that has contributed to all the unrest in this country for the last 10 years.
What was your opinion of their coverage of the events that was unfolding in Kenosha?
Again, they didn't take enough time to really delve into the story because they wanted to be the first one to press. It's just the nature of the business right now, unfortunately. And everybody on social media has an opinion, whether they have any background or knowledge of the subject that they're talking about. So it leaves a lot of the story untold, and therefore people make maybe the wrong conclusions about what happened and the reasons that it happened.
All right, so your store got hit by the rioters. So in the weeks after August 2020, what changed with your store? Did you decide to reopen? What made
We
you go
had to
into
be
that?
closed for 6 weeks because due to insurance purposes, we had to do an entire physical inventory. We had to get everything cleaned up. So we closed down for 6 more weeks, which really hurt after being closed down for, business interruption, I should say. What was the question?
What changed after?
What changed? Oh, so after the riots, of course, everybody wanted to come in and talk about it. Again, with the talk about it, And again, we pretty much squelched that because at that point, I believe we were really in a big wave, and the people that were out shopping were the people that didn't want to wear masks, but we made them wear masks anyway. And they all wanted to talk about it, and I did not wish to engage because I don't want to